Hi there, welcome to 5 Minute Psychology. I'm Blaine. This is the vlog/podcast dedicated to discussing fun facts and findings in psychology in a quick and hopefully concise manner. Today I'd like to discuss two cognitive biases. What is a cognitive bias? This is a term that gets thrown around a lot in psychology. This is when we as humans tend to make illogical mistakes. We don't always think logically. We aren't computers. We make mistakes all the time. We commit logical fallacies. A number of things influence us in weird ways. We can be primed to think in some ways, and we can overlook logic left and right. We do this far more than we realize. So, what are the two examples I'd like to give? The first bias is usually called the better than average effect. The fancier name is the illusory superiority effect. Bum bum bum. What does that mean? That means we all think we're better than everyone else. This is really intuitive, right? The way that we kind of discovered this is by having people take surveys, and we'd have them rate themselves on sort of positive, all these positive traits, right? How smart are you? How well liked are you? How creative are you? Et cetera, et cetera. And we have an overwhelming tendency to rate ourselves a little bit higher than rating other people. So how smart is everyone else? How smart are your friends? How creative are your friends? How well liked is this other person? We always tend to think of ourselves as a little bit better than average. That's a little weird, and it's a little scary, to be honest, that we are all walking around feeling a little bit smug. But it also serves some motivational purposes. It stops us from feeling terrible about ourselves, and sort of might be motivational. What was the other bias I wanted to discuss? The other bias is often referred to as naive realism. I love this one. It's a weird one. Naive realism is the belief that we see the world clearly, that we see reality more clearly than other people, right? Anyone who has ever discussed politics ever tends to display this effect. You may not see reality clearly, but I know the real picture. I know what's really happening here. My truths are more true than everyone else's truths. Why is this problematic? Because we know that no one sees the world clearly. We're influenced, again, by a lot of different factors and variables, right? Everyone sees the world in different ways. I mean, literally, people see the world in different ways. Some people are colorblind. Some people don't even have eyesight. But beyond that, there are so many different things that go into how we see and how we perceive things, right? What we attend to, what we look at, what we don't look at, the details that we remember and the details that we don't. Our minds are not perfect computers. So really, the idea that anyone sees the world perfectly clearly is sort of absurd. Why am I talking about these two? Because I've been thinking about them a lot lately, and I think they interact in a really fun anecdotal example, and that is whenever anyone has a newborn baby. We've all seen this. Some people think it's obnoxious. Some people think it's entertaining. I'm one of the people that thinks it's entertaining, maybe a little obnoxious sometimes, but more entertaining. When you have a newborn baby, or when your relatives have a newborn, these two biases come together to create a heady cocktail of my baby is so much better than all those other babies, right? People throw out facts and sort of observations left and right. My child started talking when they were 1 month old. My baby started walking when they were less than 2. Which on the one hand is us sort of displaying this better than average effect. It's saying, look, our genes are better than all of those other genes, right? But what it hinges on is naive realism. Wow, I can't say that word today. Naive realism. It hinges on naive realism. It hinges on we see this so clearly. And even if no one else agrees with us, we still know it's true because we see reality in a clear way. My baby started talking when it was 2 months old, and I saw it, and therefore it's truth. I love that. I'd love to hear people's opinions, whether they disagree or agree, whether they have any particularly entertaining stories involving these. I'm open to hear that. I would now like to turn the conversation quickly to art, as I try and do every episode. How do these biases interact with art? I think art is absolutely essential as a destructor of naive realism, right? Art reminds us that we all perceive the world in very different ways. Someone else sees the world in a different way and expresses themselves in a different way. And without it, I don't think that I would necessarily be reminded of that as clearly or as often as I would like. In terms of naive realism, I think the only way in which we successfully squish that is when we're confronted with someone else's expertise. I challenge you to draw, paint, or create something that is as good as your favorite artist. I think you will be summarily reminded that you're not better than average on everything. And that's maybe a good thing. Not that I want anyone to feel terrible about themselves, but I think it's good to remember where you are on the spectrum of skills. And then maybe you will be a little bit more deserving of your naive realism because you'll see the world more accurately and you'll know that you're somewhere in the middle. All right, guys, that's 5 Minute Psychology. Thank you so much for listening. If you're interested and want to hear more, you can follow me on my SoundCloud or YouTube at 5 Minute Psychology. Or you can check me out on my website, cbh2132.wixsite/website. I'll change it one day. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. See you later.